Hello and welcome to Scribes and Songsters. I'm Veronique Mandel. Our guest today is singer-songwriter, producer and guitarist Christian Vegh. Christian has been referred to as a young guitar prodigy with an old soul and the hottest young guitar player in the nation. He's had over 3 million views on some of his YouTube original and cover videos, and we'll be showing one of Christian's music videos later in the program. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm delighted to have you here.
That was quite hyped, so I hope I live up to this now during this interview. You know? Wow.
So you've done so much, and we'll get to talking about some of it, but you grew up in Windsor.
Yeah.
And so what got you started with the guitar?
Well, I wanted a guitar for Christmas after watching School of Rock. So that was really the first thing. Seeing Jack Black and the kid Zach play the guitar, that was what prompted that. And got a guitar.
How old were you?
This would have been going into the year 2006 because I got it for Christmas. So technically 2005. I think I was like 8 or 9 around that time. Yeah.
So did you ever have a thought then when you wanted a guitar that, you know, you would want a career the way you have now?
Yeah, actually, I feel I've been very fortunate to know what I wanted to do for like at a real young age.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle in of itself for the new generation. It's like, what is my purpose? This and that. And not that I don't have those days where I'm like, man, what am I doing? But it's been a blessing to know for a good amount of time what I want to do with my time here. So. Because
you really have to have that passion if you're going to pursue a life in the music business, don't you?
Absolutely.
So now you didn't start at the top. You started playing in venues in Windsor and Essex County.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of really great support from local festivals, especially when I first got into the scene. We got to really kind of skip the line a bit at the start with some of my bands. We did like the Tecumseh Corn Fest, the Strawberry Fest, and these were nice shows. And we've had an incredible amount of support from the community here. And yeah, that was great. That was a really great experience.
So when you were in high school and you were doing all of these things, what was it like with your friends? Did your friends see you as, something of an anomaly, or, did they think what you did was cool?
Well, at the time, it sure didn't look cool because all I did was like practice in the music room, and it was just like borderline hermit behavior. Wouldn't recommend it, but that's kind of what it takes. And then when you're interested in something, that's sometimes what you have to do. I'm sure if you asked any of my friends from high school, they would describe to you what I just said. And I don't regret any moment of it at all,
How much time would you spend?
I would say like a solid 4 hours a day, which was just on guitar. And then I do some vocal stuff too. And now, it looks quite different in the modern era. A lot of my time is like editing. so editing because I record music, I produce for social media videos. It's not even really stuff that pertains directly to the craft of songwriting and music, which is why we're all here today in this room. So looking directly at the lovely audience. So 4 hours was a good.
What about now? I mean, do you? People think once you get to a certain level in your career, that perhaps you don't need to practice as much. Do you have to practice more?
If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much time would you spend now?
Anything I can. Usually what it looks like is instead of spending time practicing on things I want to get better at, I try to get better in general as a musician for the next thing I have coming up. Right. So what's the next show I'm doing? Yeah. What's the next original song I want to be performing at a top level? And I'll put that at the top list of priorities because it is. And then the practice comes along with doing those things. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of getting two things done at the same time.
Now, did you always know, you had a good voice?
I was a horrible singer when I first started.
No kidding.
Yeah, horrible.
So what made you better?
The weird part about singing is that it's very much so a physicality. You have to treat your body, your posture, even your mindset in a real respectable way to get the most out of your voice. And then you also have to die a couple creative deaths as a vocalist, figure out what works and what doesn't. So...
Did you take lessons?
Yes, of course I did. Yeah, I had some amazing teachers in Windsor, LaSalle. Pete Palazzolo was the first vocal teacher I had, and then I had Aaron Armstrong show me a couple things as well as Paul Bonaventure. Paul Beresford. Just got the names messed up. And then I went to Berkeley and I got a real comprehensive view on how does your voice work? How do you get the most out of it? Here's how you can do things safely. Here's what not to do.
How did you get to Berkeley?
Well, you got to audition. And I think they had them in Toronto. It was like some studio in Toronto. And it was strange because I actually recognized I had the I don't know, a proctor. So that's what you call them. The person who auditioned me was an ensemble director. When I got to Berkeley, I'm like, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm like, pretty sure you were the guy who auditioned me. He's like, I think I remember. Yeah, his name was John Baboyan.
Now, speaking of sort of keeping your body, your all of your body in good shape, how much time do you spend, working on your body?
As much as I can. It's kind of funny, like, you can go to the gym 3 times a week. That's great. If you can do some dancing, do some movement stuff, that would be even better. But I have noticed, like, once you start doing a bunch on one thing, something else over here kind of gets neglected. So there's only so much of Christian that gets to go around the clock. There's 12 hours, really. So,
do you do ballet?
Yeah, I wish my studio didn't close during COVID. Detroit Ballet.
Where was the next jumping point?
It would have been going to Berkeley, going to Boston, and traveling also to like LA, getting some friends in different parts of the world, different parts of the industry. That would have been the next big step. Yeah.
And what was it like, for a young guy from Windsor to start having those kinds of steps up the ladder in your career?
Well, at the time, I wish I could go and talk to myself back then and say, you should be filming everything. You should be doing this and that. But, you don't know what you don't know. At the time, it was surreal, I guess. I tried to, be the best musician I possibly could be.
Who were some of the big influences in your life once you had started to get to that level in your career?
Well, the first one was really Joe Bonamassa. And once I saw this DVD of his live at A New Day yesterday, I saw this track he was doing, Don't Burn Down That Bridge. And there was like this really cool strobe lights. There was like this delay he had on his guitar. And I got really into the guitar at that point. Like that was where 3 to 4 hours was the standard per day. I got really, really into playing at that point. So I would say he was like the biggest push to take it very seriously, and dedicate and become a disciple to the craft of music. Before that, it would have been like, Pink Floyd, Slash from the Guns N' Roses. Like every kid who played Guitar Hero, played music growing up, wanted to be like Slash. Yeah, he's an excellent player. Writes excellent parts.
So you write. When did you start writing music right off the bat, or is that something that
came a little later, but not too far off? Like I started recording with some friends, Riley and my friend Anthony. We would record just random jams in the basement on Logic Pro 9 Express at the time. And we would just record these little jams, There's this fun one. It was like one of the first recordings I ever made. And Riley came up with this chord progression, and then I played this little solo melody thing over it. And it's called Output 1-2 because it decided to name itself that. So it's floating around somewhere. I think that was like the default name Logic would give it. So my first recorded like song was Output 1-2. So that's a great fact.
And what was the path to your first album?
Well, the first full-length album I had was like my second thing that I've done. But the first one I did with Mackenzie Burroughs and Marty Beck at SLR Studios.
And where was that?
And this was in Windsor.
Oh.
Yeah, this is SLR Sound Lab Recordings. Marty is a world-class guy, and we're lucky to have him in town, you know. And I've worked with a lot of people in the world, and he's a pro. Yeah. By international standards, you know, we have some amazing studios. We got Walter Riggy and Glenn Fricker. And it's weird because they're all in this like little radius in Windsor. And I swear they're world class. Like,
and Walter Riggy is sort of big into film as well.
Yeah, he does it all, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so by this time, okay, you've done your album. Have you ever had a band?
I'm glad you're keeping me on track here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had two bands. My first band was West Palm, and we won like this Long and McQuaid Battle of the Bands. And that was great, actually, because that really kicked off recording. You know, it might not have been in as serious of a capacity as it is now, but Long and McQuaid, bring back your Battle of the Bands, because you create people like me later on down the line. So that gear that we got from winning it, I used to make all these recordings. And like when I was younger, you know, I have better stuff now, but the point is that those were the seeds that were planted. Yeah. And then I had Red Legacy with Mackenzie Burroughs, whose cousin was with Jeff Burroughs from the Tea Party. And we love a proper Canadian rock trio. Yeah, and Jeff Martin actually took lessons with Pete Palazzolo, who was my guitar teacher.
The Palazzolos are a force to be reckoned with,
absolutely.
Aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And Christy's got her own whole journey, and you know, she's had Pete to guide her, and Pete is an excellent musician. He's taught me a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so before we go any further, why don't we listen to one of your videos?
Let's do it.
And we'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a listen.
Direct code of 16. Jazz 993
I'm riding like Captain Kirk. I'm beaming you up right off the earth, so we can work this out. 'Cause there's been space between us now. You're like a phaser set to stun. I've been laser shot by love. I tried to brace myself, you laid me out. Feels like you saved me from myself. Save me from myself.
that was one of the most ambitious recording endeavors I've ever went on to make that song. And, you know, I had right from the ground up, Wiley Bartels on the drums, my cousin Caleb Vegh on the synthesizers, John and Olivia Costi on violins, cellos, Carlos Orpana on the French horn. I believe that's everyone who like physically played instruments on the record. And then I played like guitar, bass, vocals, produced it. Marty back mixed it. Walter Riggy engineered that.
Wow.
And yeah, I like making music that actually like involves real people, because a lot of what I'm seeing, and not to like be a complainer or whatever, but a lot of like what can end up happening as like the era of like bedroom producers is that you end up just making all of it yourself, and then the aspect of sharing that song and having other people on the recording gets lost. And that's not necessarily their fault. It's just like, what are you going to do? Bring 20 people to your bedroom to record them? Like, it's sometimes just not feasible for some people. But that recording had a lot of amazing musicians on it. And it was a hell of a lot of fun to make.
Tell me about Hotel California. I loved your version of Hotel California.
That was at this thing we did called Christian Vegh Rocks the Capitol.
And you
we
did.
Filmed it. Yeah, we filmed it. And it was just like, it was a cover song in the set. And, you know, it's obviously a very well-written song. We love the Eagles, very popular. So that kind of blew up on YouTube. And that got me a really nice chunk of subscribers. And it got blocked or whatever in the US because Universal is very, very sensitive to like where they let their licensed songs go out. And yeah. But not anymore, because apparently the new terms and services of Spotify, they're going to be allowing anyone to remix anyone's songs, which is like a weird copyright thing that's going to go down.
Yeah, no. Is that potentially a bad thing for musicians?
Probably. Because one, like, what does that mean for future copyright laws? Right? Okay, so now someone can just take your work and then remix it, and now it's just like, boom, but because, you know, they've updated the terms and conditions, it's legal, but it's, someone will challenge it eventually. It'll all go to court, and who knows what's going to happen. It's probably going to look like, you know, a real popular artist like Ed Sheeran, and then his song gets remixed by someone who's like super controversial, maybe like Kanye West, and then all of a sudden his team freaks out and they're like, no, we got to take that down, and then they sue them, and then the whole thing will blow up. Like, yeah, it will. Yeah.
Where do you see like the future for musicians? I mean, is it a difficult future?
For musicians as like a craft?
Yeah. I mean, and in terms of getting their music out, I mean, are we still seeing a level of, you know, recording opportunities? Is sort of streaming services where it is? Where do you see it?
I'm going to walk back to 2018, 2017. I predicted the strike that occurred in the Actors Guild in Hollywood because of streaming. And I outright said this to people in my class at the time. This is because streaming is taking a lot of the physical revenue, because we used to sell physical copies of things. Yeah. That's going to dry up a lot of the money that they are paying to these big studios who pay actors, who pay all the cinematographers, yada, yada. So there's going to be a strike. And what I was hoping is that there would be a strike on behalf of the musicians that would kind of coincide at the same time with the Actors Guild. That never happened.
So now, do you tour much?
We did a small Blue Rock. Well, I shouldn't say small. It covered a lot of ground. We did a tour with Blue Rock, which was amazing. And shout out to Dame Dash, remarkable guy.
Do you like touring?
Yeah, it's cool. There's playing your own original music to people across like internationally, that's super exciting. Yeah
Must be a trip.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Now you've also gone to the Grammys. Tell us about that. I mean, that's pretty spectacular.
I got involved with the Grammys through a man named Mark Casa and Tom McDonough, and through also a distribution deal I had with MI5 Recordings. And Mark met me at a festival I was playing at in Detroit, and then we actually ended up playing some shows together. And then he asked me to be part of his group as a full-time member, and which is amazing. Slight Return.
Yeah.
And he recommended me to the Recording Academy along with Steve Kapp, who's an amazing Grammy-winning producer. And yeah, you have to put forth, I guess, 2 people who are in the academy have to submit applications on your behalf to vouch for you as an artist. You have to have so many works out. And like new works, it can't be old. It has to be within like the past 4 years. And then they review that and they'll accept you or not. And then you can become a voting member and you can vote in the awards ceremony. You can go. Yeah.
And you've gone twice?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
What does it feel like? Like, here I am, Christian Vegh from Windsor, Ontario at the Grammys.
Well, the past year was the first time I've ever actually had my music. Well, I shouldn't say my own music. I had Slight Return the year before that, so that was technically the first time. But this year was the first year I had Christian Vegh as a project on the ballot, which was super exciting.
Yeah.
Going it's pretty crazy. It's sort of discouraging in a way because you're like, this is a really big machine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a cog.
Yeah.
And then it's also really cool because there's
'Cause you're a
people
cog.
there's people that are just like you know, who are like, this is what they do, and there's people who are there who I respect, who have been doing it way longer than I have, and now I'm a part of that community, which is incredible.
And you don't just sort of do all of this stuff for yourself. I know that you also do things for charity, and you've written a very special theme song recently.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny because right before I left here, I bounced out the final files for a mixdown. So like those are sent now. It's out of my hands. It's my journey for that is, well, it's still going, but the point is it's called Walking Free, and it's about this guy named Jax who's going to walk across the U.S. It's like American Terry Fox. Canada did it first.
Why is he doing it?
Well, there's 2 main causes. One is for veterans, and the other one is, I believe, for cancer patients and sick kids.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
2 noble causes, 1 noble man. It's gonna be pretty cool. Talking with him was crazy because I'm thinking the first time I met him, he's like talking about, then at this point of the year I'm gonna be in the desert, and I'm like, it's all from one coast to the other. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, like I better write something real good because you're gonna get sick of this thing. No, it's a cool one.
So when will we be able to hear it?
Well, my mix engineer is pretty quick. I'm hoping within the month, honestly, of March, that's going to be ready to rock.
Now, I mean, it would take us a whole show to go through all of the awards and scholarships and all of the things that, that's come your way because of your hard work and talent.
There's a lot of other people involved, for the record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a place you'd really like to play, somewhere in the world, a venue you'd really like to be at?
For sure. Royal Albert Hall. Yeah.
So unfortunately, we have to go.
Oh, yeah.
However, we'll be watching for you, and I'll be rooting for you to play with Gilmore at the Royal Albert.
That'd be cool.
Before I say goodbye, I want to remind you to go on, what is your website?
ChristianVegh.com, VEGH.
And that's where you'll learn so much more about him and watch his incredible videos. Thank you so much. Been delightful to have you.
Hey, thank you.
Well, unfortunately, that's it for another Scribes and Songsters show. Special thanks to our very special guest, Christian Vegh. And thank you to our Scribes and Songsters team, producer Brian Sweet and technical producer and editor Gary Glass. Grateful thanks to Tony Toldo and the Toldo Foundation, and to Neil and Tina Queering for their support. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon back here on Scribes and Songsters really soon. I'm Veronique Mandel. Bye for now.